I'm Heather Valentine, online educator and instructor at the Sewing Loft. One of my favorite things to do is share easy tips and projects to help improve your everyday sewing. Today, I'm going to show you how to create a simple skirt using no pattern. That's right, no pattern. It's really easy. To get started, we're going to just need a few measurements. But if you don't want to use the tape measure, don't worry about it. Let me show you how to use it with fabric. You're going to take your fabric widthwise and we're going to wrap it around our body at the widest point. Now, if you have a mirror, it's best to really look in the mirror and make sure that it's not too low on your body or too high. After you get it all the way around, we're going to add 1.5 inches for seam allowance. I've gone ahead and already written that measurement down. After we've got that, it's time to talk about our length. You're going to put your hand on your natural waist length, take your tape measure, and determine how long you would like your skirt to be. I like mine a little bit above my knee, but that's personal choice. After you have that measurement, you're going to add 2 inches for seam allowance and hem. I've gone ahead and pre-cut my fabric. That's your entire pattern. I promise, it's that easy. So now that I have my pattern cut out, I'm going to take this time to actually clean finish all of my seams with the serger. If you don't have a serger, that's fine. You can just do a quick zigzag over the edge. To create our skirt, we're going to fold our pieces together, right side to right side. This is going to give us a tube. We're going to head on over to the machine and actually stitch this seam. We're going to use 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and a standard machine setup, which is a straight stitch on 2.5 length. Now, you can pin these in place, but I tend to just hold it as I sew. Starting at the top, you're going to back stitch and go all the way down. We want to use an all-purpose thread that is dyed to match the color of your fabric. On my skirt, you'll notice that I'm using a contrasting color. But a little later, I'm going to be applying my elastic and I want it to match. When you get to the end, you're going to want to back stitch again. We're going to head over to the iron because I think that pressing is really important. Actually, I think it's one of the most important things when we work with garments. So we're going to put it down on our pad and we are going to actually lock this seam in place with a quick press of the iron. After you've locked your seam in place, we're going to open it up and press our seam allowance again. We want to open our seam allowance side to side and have them lay nice and flat. Now it's time to talk about our hems. I've actually brought a few options for us to talk about. One is a double bend back fold with a single needle top stitch. Another option is the same construction as the double fold, but it uses a twin needle, and it'll give you this 2 lines of top stitch along the edge. But what I really want to focus on today for our skirt is the blind stitch. What we're going to do, I've prepared a couple of samples to show you. You're going to fold one piece up about 1/2 inch, give it a good press all the way around your skirt. After you've done that, we're going to fold it up again, about 1 inch. Okay, so you can see the original is a 1/2 inch fold, and then I've turned it up again for 1 inch. Now, here's the tricky part with blind stitching. It's all about the prep work. You're going to fold it back right sides together and expose 3/8 of an inch along the top edge. I like to pin this in place so that it doesn't shift while I'm sewing. Now let's head over to the machine and actually stitch this down. Make sure that you check on your machine. Everyone's different. You want to set it up for your blind stitch. On my machine, it's a 6, and we are going to just put it in place and move along. And we're going to use our little guide bar lined up right against the fold and just start stitching. You're going to see that the machine is going to shift the needle to the left every few stitches. And your guide bar is going to gently do all the work for you, keeping everything in place. Make sure you don't roll over any of your pins because we don't want any broken needles. Then we're going to open it up and you can see a couple of pick stitches right along the seam. Now, if your pick stitches are too exposed, you're going to want to change the length and just adjust. It's best to do it on a sample at first. Now it's time to set our skirt aside and move on to our elastic. This is the last step and it's really simple. Remember when we talked about our natural waist? So we're going to take our elastic, which I'm choosing to use a 1-inch color that will kind of pop off the top of my fabric, but there's so many options that are available to you on the market. You can use a 1-inch, I think there's 1.5 inches, even 2 inches. But have you noticed the sparkly? It's really kind of fun. So once you have your elastic selected, you're going to wrap it right around your waist. That natural point that we talked about before. You're going to bring it over and have a little bit of tension on it because you want to make sure that it's on you. Hold it in place and then add 1 inch and cut. No measurements really required. We're just kind of feeling it. I've already gone ahead and prepared my sample. I've joined both edges together with my coordinating thread and straight stitch. Once you have these, once you have it all stitched together, it's time to break it down into 4 areas. This will make it easier for us to attach to our skirt. We're going to use our pins and mark off each section. Once you have the first one in place, you can match it right back to your center back. Make sure you're not stretching it as you're working, and pin. Now you're going to repeat this on your skirt. So I like to align my center to the front. Add a pin. And then back to back, front to front, and mark my sides. Now these pins are actually the guidelines of where we're going to attach and line up our elastic. We're going to overlay the elastic 1/4 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch onto our fabric. It's going to be wrong side to right side. So here's the right side of my fabric and here's the wrong side. You can see the little seam of my elastic. And we're going to put the back right on the center back and we're just going to pin it in place. You're going to take each pin and match them up. I like to remove my pins as I go and only have the one on here to make it easy for me to sew. Now you'll notice that it looks kind of funny. The elastic is a little bit smaller and to the fabric, but when we bring it over to the machine, you will stretch and sew at the same time all the way around. Let's take a look at the finished project. You can see that the elastic is all the way around and our back seams are matching. This skirt is so simple that you can make it today and wear it tonight.